Okay, so this is video number 1. So I'm just gonna make a bar chart over time. Okay, so I'm just gonna use the included data set. And here we go. So we're gonna go by order date, and I'm holding right click and dragging it in, and I'm just gonna click month. Okay, so those are the individual months, but we actually just want the specific months, so including the year. Okay. And we might let's just take a look at sales, for example. Ooh, so it's changed it to be that. I wonder what happened there. Sum of sales, sum of sales. Okay, yeah, so it's just reporting. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we can rotate it like that. And then we've got sum of sales across. Now, we might want to have this variable, this metric, sales, change. Okay, so I'm going to create a parameter, and I'm going to be integer parameter, and I'm going to list out the options. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So we might start with total sales, and we've also got total profit, which is another thing. Total quantity, and finally we might also have total orders. Okay, so we're going to make that parameter show parameter. I'm just going to change the title. Oops. Let's call it metric selection parameter. All right, let's make it a little binary thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so now we need to create a calculator field that's going to change depending upon that. So we can go create calculator field, selected metric, and we just use a case when. So we go case when metric selected parameter. So when 1, then we want the total sales. So that operation is sum of sales. And we can just copy this 4 times, put the end in to save ourselves forgetting later on. So we got sum of sales, sum of profit, whoops, and then sum of quantity. And to get the unique orders, we need a count distinct of order ID. Okay, so we can do that, and now we've got our selected metric, and we can replace sum of sales. Now when we let go, it's going to be the same chart because we've got it already set to sales, but we can swap it now to see profit, quantity, and unique orders. All right, so that's all good, but the problem is that now we see this selected metric here instead of the actual name of the metric. So we're going to copy that. We're going to duplicate that calculated field. Edit, selected metric label. Oh, is that there? Oh, dearie me. Embarrassing. So when it's 1, we're going to replace this with a name. So total sales. So let's just go ahead and fix all these up. So we've got total sales, total profit, total quantity, we might change that later on, and total orders. So we got that label wherever it is. Where did it go? Label. So we can actually drag that on here, and then we can rotate it. Rotate. And then we can remove these things here. Hide field labels for rows. We don't need that one. And then we can just change the axis to not show anything. So there we go. That is our dynamic bar chart. It's pretty nifty. We might also just show the labels. Maybe that makes a difference. And sometimes we can also, in the title, we can insert the selected metric label there. So we click OK. So total sales, total profit. So that's a neat little trick. Okay, I'll stop there. Okay, so the next thing we might want to add is a rolling average of these metrics, these numbers. So we can actually just duplicate that by holding down Control, and then we can swap this to being a line. Okay, and then if we want to, we can dual axis it. So we got to click on the axis, dual axis, and we don't necessarily want to synchronize at this point. No, let's synchronize now. There we are. So now they're synchronized, and the line is covering the tops of the bars. It makes sense. But to make it a calculated field, we can go down, quick table calculation, moving average. Now it doesn't tell us what that moving average is. We've got to go and edit it, and we can see that it's just using the previous 2 values. So we can up that to 6 to make it a smoother line. Okay, so I will do that. I might also put this here, null if not enough values, and look what happens down here. So with that, it's just doing an average using as many data points as it has. But if we take it away, it's only ever going to show us a value when it's got 6 full data points to use, okay, or previous. So it's using 6 previous plus the current. So we might just make it the last 6, you know. It doesn't really matter. That's up to you. How smooth you want the line. Okay, so having done that, we might just change the color of this line to be different so we can see it. Yeah, and one other thing with data is that generally we're showing all the data, and we might not necessarily need to show all the data. It's a really sort of almost a rookie mistake to show everything we've got, when really all that is probably of interest is you know, the past year or the past year and a half, you know. So we can actually just go grab order date, put it into filters, range of dates starting at, and we can make it start at the 1st of January 2019. But you see what's happened here is that our rolling average has been cut off because we haven't got 6 data points to use that. Okay, so the better strategy is to, we can't do it here. Okay, so what another strategy to do is to convert this from a discrete axis, so a categorical axis, to a continuous axis. Looks very much the same, but the benefit is that we can curtail this axis. So the end can be automatic, but the start, we can fix that to that date we said just before. So 19, the 1st of 19, and just make it 00, 00, and AM, so the very start of the day, just in case there are time frame issues. So now we've got the full moving average, and so that point there is actually using 6 months, 5 months previous. So it's more of a complete data point. All right, and one of the benefits as well of using a continuous axis is that we can add reference lines to it. So I'll just show you that quickly. We can add, we've got no options for what to add here. Okay, so we're going to make a quick line that shows today. All right, so we can actually do this in a bit of a roundabout way. So I'm going to go create calculator field today, and that is the function today. And then I'm going to create a parameter, today's date, and that's going to be a date column, and I'm going to make it a list, and I'm going to make it adjust so it's going to be dynamic every day. So when the workbook opens, grab the value for today. All right, so today is the 10th of December, yeah, but tomorrow the calculated field will adjust and it'll be the 11th of December, and that means that this parameter, each time if we open this workbook tomorrow, we'll look at that calculated field and go, okay, the date's changed, and it'll just update this. So by making this parameter, we can now go here, add a reference line, and then it's listed in the list of parameters that we've got. Okay, entire table, and we can change it to dashed, and so there you have it. There, it's a nice little dashed line to show you where we are in regards to today. But something else which I'm just doing for the sake of these videos is, let's say that I'm just going to remove this as well. It doesn't make a difference. We can hide the indicator. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a point where a change was made. So I'm just going to do that this way. So add reference line. We're going to make a new parameter. Change date. So let's say that this change happened. We've just got to enter it in. So we can make it. We don't want to give it a list. We want to give it. Yeah, we want to give it a value of a specific value. So fixed. Yes. Okay. There we go. So we have to provide it with a date and time. Oh, I'm just going to pause it for 1 second to regain my train of thought. Okay, I'm back. So we just had to put it back to all. So here we can specify a change date. So it's currently in today, but let's say it happened on the 1st of March of March. Whoops. The 1st of March 2020, and let's make it once again 00. Whoops. I just need to make the time 00. And let's change that to 12 a.m. Yeah. So that means that it will be at the clock tick, basically, of the 1st of March. So when I do that, and then OK, we can see it's occurred there. So let's just change it to be a dashed line as well. Okay, so let's add some color to it so we can differentiate between the before and the after. All right, so we can go create calculator field. Let's say after change is going to be that. So order date is greater than change date. And now we can have two different colors. And that has upset our line. Let's just change that color back to something different from those other two. Oops, didn't like it. So the line, we don't want to have the color on it. Yeah. So we don't, if we have the color on it, it gives us two separate lines. All right. But we don't want the color, and then we want to alter the color to be something, just something different so we can see, basically. But yeah, so now we've got the change date, and then we've got after and before. Okay, I'll stop the video there. Okay, so let's work with this, and let's make another chart featuring some key metrics. Okay, so let's start with the month to date. So a month to date, and we want to use those same values, but let's just start with profit or sales. Okay, so the question is, how do we do a month to date? So we need a calculation that's going to tell us whether a record is in the current month or not. Okay, so the current month could be defined by today, or it could be defined by the maximum value that we've got in the data set. Now, which you choose really depends upon when you want to run the analysis, and you can even have the option of picking a date manually. Okay, but just for now, let's say that the current month is going to be the maximum date that we've got a value for. Okay, not today's date. So to do that, we need to do a fixed LOD expression, a max of order date. Okay, and so these are like, in a way, it's making a new column, okay, but it's sort of being an aggregation, and it's repeating that value all the way down. In this case here, we haven't got any groupings, if you will, but it's just determining the max value of the entire data set, and it's repeating that maximum date all the way down. So we can even use a little trick. So I'm going to call this max date, and to make a column, to make a new calculated field within this sort of menu, you can actually just drag it in here. Okay, so now we've got a max date calculated field, which is just one specific date, or in this case, yeah, it's a date. All right, so we need to detect if the month, so we need date trunc of the order, so we're determining the month of the order date, whether that is the same as the date trunc of the max date. So if this test is true, that is going to tell us is current month. So we can just do that, and we can drag that over there. Okay, so now we can go if is current month, then let's do, we could do it, so there's two ways, and I'll show you the first way. So let's do sales end. Okay, so this is going to be, what's going to happen if you think down the columns, whenever it's prior to the latest month, it's going to present null values. But when it gets to a value, a row in the current month, it's going to actually present the sales amount. So if we do this, we get MTD, we put it in, and we're going to get a number. So that's the total amount, and it's chosen the aggregation for us. And then we can modify that aggregation as well if we wanted to. But in this case here, there's no real point to do any of the other options like average or max or, yeah. So what we're going to do is we can actually get rid of that, and we can include the aggregation inside the formula, inside the calculated field. So we can sum that whole thing. So the first bit is it's making this new column, which we don't really need, and then it's just summing it. So when we put that in, MTD, where are you? MTD, we drag it in, and it's given us the same number, but here, instead of saying sum, it says aggregation. It's just giving us a heads up that the calculated field is already an aggregation. Okay, so that is the month to date. So let's just duplicate that. Edit and make a year to date. Y to date. And I was gonna type in sales, so I might just do that now. Just give me 1 second and I'll add that in there as well. We're gonna make it dynamic eventually. So year to date sales, edit. So we need is current year. So how are we gonna get that? So let's go to is current month, duplicate, edit, is current year. And all we need to change is this. So take the year of the order and make sure that's the same as the year of the max date. We can get rid of that comment which came over, all right? So maybe, I sometimes like to put a question mark at the end of it. Is current month, just to make it obvious that it's a Boolean, so true or false detection. Okay, so we go back to our year to date, edit, and then we go is current year, and that will give us our sales. So we can drag that on as well. I'm going to put it on top, and then we've got this sort of setup. So if I drag this up here, I can actually drag this down to labels, and then I can make it bigger. Oops. And then I can hide that header. And then I've got a bit more control with how I display the this metric. So these are referred to as bands, big ass numbers, if you will. We can center it, and yeah, and so we can also do little things like we can make the values quite big and bold. Yeah, so that's just a little nifty trick. Okay, so that's how we make bands, and we can add other calculated fields in as we like as well. Okay, yeah, so I might just quickly pause it 1 second. So I might add one more calculated field, which is the percent of the month that that still remains, if you will. Okay, so this probably won't be too easy, but let's have a go. So if we go create calculated field, yes. So let's say percent month, let's say past. Should that be past? No, let's do that. Okay, so we need to figure out what's the current day of the month. So we need date part of, let's say, day of the current max date. And in theory, this should give us a number. And let's just check what that number is. Today's the 10th, so this in theory should be, let's make it attribute. Oops, a dimension, sorry. Let's make it discrete. Okay, so at the moment, the max date is, and we can see it as 30. So if we bring in max date, let's search for it, max date. It's going to tell us that the specific day is the 30th of December. So our ambition to make a calculated field with the percentage of the month, it's going to be a tiny bit tricky because that it's at the end, so it's going to be 100%. All right, so well, we can probably still do it. So let's keep going. It would just be useful during the month, but our data is already pre-populated. So let's just take a look at how we do it. So this number that it's giving us is 30. And we need to, hypothetically, if we were, oh, itchy nose, let's say at the 15th of the month, we'd have to divide 15 by 30 or 31 or 28, depending upon how many days there were. Okay, so what we can do here, so that is our numerator. And now we've got to work out our denominator. So that would be the total number of days in the month. So we can go like this: date trunk month of max date. So that if we're on the 30th of December, it's taking us back to the 1st of December, and then we can date add. We can add a month to that value, the 1st, shifting us all the way to the we want to add 1 month. So when we do that, now we've gone from the 1st of December to the 1st of January 2021. And then we just want to take off 1 date. So that number, oh, it's not happy. I forgot a comma there. So that, oh, it's not happy. Can't divide integer by a date time value. Oh yeah. So now we need date part. And we need day. And then we need to, oh wait, no. Date part, take away 1. Oh, I thought it would be happy. So we need, oh, I've got to add that. So in theory, this number should be 1, the answer. So let's drag it in and see what we get. 1. Oh, 96. Ah, because there's 31 days in December. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. Okay, that makes sense. So the number is correct, and let's drag it in so we can put it there. And 1 is not so good. We want actually the percentage. So we can change the default properties of this to be a percentage, and let's have 0 decimal places. Yep. And we can probably shift that to the end. So we can say the percent of the month past is 97%. We could do something very similar for the year as well if we wanted to. But I just wanted to show you the default properties thing. Okay, that's the end of that video, and that's making bands or KPI indicators. All right. Okay, so that's great, Julian. You've made these bands, but Julian, they're not dynamic, I hear you say. All right, I want that want that metric to be able to modify what those bands display, but it's not working. All right. So how do we go about doing this? Now, I've chosen to do this because it's actually kind of tricky. All right. And you'll see why. So let's go and give it a shot. So month to date, let's muck around with this. Edit, let's get rid of that sales because now we're going to make it dynamic. All right. So instead of sales, let's put in our selected metric. It's saying something's wrong. Something's wrong, Julian. Cannot mix aggregated and non-aggregate comparisons, okay? Because when you think about it, it's looking at this on a line by line basis. So it's going through each line and saying, hey, are you the current month? But then this selected metric, if we look at that, that is, okay, so when I changed it, it saved that MTD value, and yeah. So this is an aggregation, okay. There are actually two different types of aggregation, which is the problem. And it's not the problem for the thing. The problem is because we're trying to feed an aggregation. So what we should do is we want to have a column, basically. So what I'm trying to say here is this. So for all sales, profit, and quantity, those are numbers. But total orders, we need the distinct of the order because there can be multiple rows that have the same order ID. All right. So this is how we're going to do it. So we're going to make a calculator field, and that's going to be selected value. All right. And let's just make it obvious. So we'll put a hash symbol in there. Okay. So we go case. We can actually do it this way. Oh yeah, selected val. Okay. So let's take selected metric, and let's grab these guys, and let's go. Where is it? With a number on the end of it. Okay, so when we're going to get rid of these aggregations. Okay. Yes. And then let's add in that other one as well, just for now. And when for, show me the order ID. Okay. And it's giving us a problem here. All right. So why is it giving us a problem? Because order ID, the description tells us, we expected type float, which is a number with decimal places, but we found a string. Okay. So order ID is, if we hash it out, you'll see it works fine. Order ID is the problem here because that's a string. So we can't make a new column, this column called selected val number, when which is dynamic according to our parameter, because we can't mix a number and a kind of a column that's at one point a number and another point text, a string. Okay, so we can't include this. It should be happy now. Okay, so if we go back to month to date, we can go not selected metric, but we can do this. We can do with a hash in it. What do we call it? Selected val. Okay, and because this is a column, now it's happy. So it's going, okay, so on a row by row basis, are you the current month? If you are the current month, show me that selected value and just sum it up. So this will work for now, total profit, total quantity, and we just need to modify it in the YTD. And we need to change this to selected, whoops, not that one. Not that one. So that will work. Okay. And now they're changing, and month isn't going to change because that's just the date, yeah. So it's working, but it's not going to work for total orders, because that's a count of unique orders. So what we need to do is we need to modify this. So let's month to date. So this whole value, we need to modify it so that we can go if metric selection parameter equals 4, then count distinct of invoice on an order ID, else, and so that's an aggregation, and then this is an aggregation, end. Okay, so only in the instance where we've selected total orders do this. But we also need the this filtering here. Okay, so what that means is that we need to add that filtering in, because otherwise it would sum the entire. So the entire column, I meant to say. Then we need order ID, else. So it's all about, yeah, trying to make it somewhat more readable. Yeah, I'll stop mucking around, but you sort of get the picture there. So if it's 4, we need to do a certain operation. But if it's not 4, so 1, 2, or 3, then we can do the standard operation for all those 3 options. Okay. Yeah, so let's just click OK, and then we need to modify that. We need to do the same thing for year-to-date sales. Is current year, just remember that, is current year, and is current year. So that is the same operation. And there we go. So now we get total sales, total profit, total quantity, and total number of orders, unique orders. So yeah, so hopefully you've seen how you get that error message that cannot mix aggregated and non-aggregated, and now you have a bit of a better understanding about how you can fix it and what the problem actually is. Okay, so that's that video. Getcha. Okay, so let's move on. Another really common chart that people want you to make is like a top 5. Okay, so let's actually explore this. So let's add in product. Let's add in the subcategory of products, and we may as well use our selected metric. Where are you? Selected metric, and let's make it a bar. Oh, well, that's, yeah, okay. And let's just sort it descending. So it's saying, okay, Julian, don't show me all these. I don't care about copiers, And let's, while we're here, let's change this parameter. I mean, display the parameter. It's saying, Julian, I don't care about, the bottom one. Let us care about the top 5. Okay, so we can actually make a set that includes the top 5, not just by an individual, by sales, or by profit or quantity, which is something that's very practical to do actually, but we're going to make it by this this selected metric. Okay, so let's go to subcategory, create set, and just got subcategory set. Yep, top by field, top 5, and it's already pre-populated it because it's informed by the visualization. So it's got custom here because the aggregation is included inside this selected metric. But if we did like sales, we had to pick that, yeah. So selected metric and custom, good. Okay, so now we're going to have an in-out set. So if we drag that in, we can see who are in the top 5, and it matches up with the data, so that's good. And who are not, who are out of the top 5. By each of those different categories. Okay, but we don't want to display these names. We sort of want to limit those out. So what we can do is we can make a calculated field. So if And the sets operate as a Boolean. So we can hold down, we can drag that in. So if it's part of the set, so if it's in the in category, then show me the subcategory name. Else, others, let's say. And so I've just made a calculation inside here, and we can see what's happening. All right, but it's that's just like a temporary calculation. So to keep it, we can put it in and go sub category top 5. You know, just and so what happens now is we can actually, well, we don't even need that in there, I don't think. We can take it out. And that's how we've got that. So we can add the in out. We need the in out to be present, because if we take it out, the order will be shuffled. Yeah. So we need that present there, but we can change the colors, but we don't need to show that in out. So we can just go show header and get rid of that, and then just space it however we want to space it. That's a really nifty little trick. Okay. And once again, you know, we've got this selected metric, but we could probably change that by using the label. How would we do that? Oh, well, I'll figure that out some other video. But yeah, how would I change that? Oh, let's see if we can select metric labels, total orders, and then hide field labels, and then we'd have to, I think we can actually add a space. I'm just winging it here. No, that's dimension. Whoops, it's all gone. I'll just undo. So we've got that. The best thing, I guess, in this case would just be to take off that, and hopefully we could find some way of we don't need that anymore, of making this total orders a bit, you know, we could format it to make it a bit more predominant. Yeah. Okay. So I'll leave it there, but that's a very useful chart to make. One other little note I'll say is that you can see the in out is inside the tooltip, and we might not actually want that. So we can actually modify the tooltip. Well, first of all, we can stop it from showing in the tooltip in the first place by taking that out. The selected metric, yeah. So you can see here it says selected metric 877, but we'd want that to really say total orders 877, and we got that part just to the above it here. So we can modify the tooltip by taking this and putting that there. And then we also need to change the color. I'm not too sure what color that is actually. That one there. So we can change it to that. And let's just see. Oh, it's a bit too light. Let's make it a tiny bit darker. Okay, it might not be 100% right, but let's take a look. And then we don't need this. And we might even reverse these. Okay, let's take a look at what it looks like. Yeah, so it's too light, but I can figure that out later on. But we've got what we want to say. Total orders is 8, and then we swap it, and then total quantity is that. Okay. Yeah, and so we might even do one more thing as well. We might put this up here and just get rid of that. Top 5. Yeah, furnishings, binders, yeah. So that's a bit neater. The order is not staying. Maybe I've got to keep, oh. I think I want it to be sorted by this. Yeah, so there, that should, much better, much better. Yeah, okay, so that is that. One quick final note with regards to tooltips is that it's very easy to have all your tidying up of the tooltip to be undone. So I often have a notepad open So I go to the tooltip and I might copy this. This is in instances where you want to add new data. Basically, I always copy it to a notepad and then you can reset it. And it's gone back to 0. And so if you want it to, so my point is that if I add new fields, let's say MTD as this, let's actually add it to a tooltip. Month to date sales. Okay, I'll get to my point just 1 second. So I'm just going to go back in time. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Okay. So we've got our tooltip that looking the way we wanted it. And then let's say I also wanted to add in month to date to the tooltip, but it hasn't come through because we've manually edited the tooltip. And it's unsure how it wants us to handle any new columns. So because we copied what was in there, we can go to the tooltip and reset it. And now it shows us the MTD value, but it's not looking the way we want it to look after all our efforts in formatting it. So we got to copy this back, go tooltip, and we want to keep month to date, and then we want to get rid of that. So now it's back to looking the way we want it to look with our additional data point. All right, so that is that. Okay, so moving on to the next visualization. A really popular one is a donut chart, so we're gonna give that a shot. Okay, so I might just duplicate that sheet, and we'll take away everything that we don't want. So let's get rid of that one there, that one there, subcategory, we don't need that either. And selected metric, we're going to use that. All right, so I put that in I'll leave it up there for now. And we'll put it into pie chart, and we'll move selected metric to the angle. Yeah, okay, cool. So we don't need that to be up there, and we'll just make it fit width. And we'll make it a tiny bit. We'll just entire view. Okay, we got a giant little circle there. All right, so these are the two parts. So the part attributable to the top 5 categories of the selected metric in subcategory of product. Okay, if we want to see, if we want to see this label as a percentage, so we can have one here as % of total, and I can just duplicate it. Oh wait, I got to move it to detail and just have this one not, and move that to there. Yeah, so now we can see the percentage and the total number of the selected metric. Okay, to make a donut chart, we pretty much just take out the middle of the donut. So if we go here, we just need a little number, but we need 2 axes. Okay, and we need to synchronize those axes. Okay, and then in the bottom chart, we want to take out the colors, and we don't need any labels for now. We don't need any angles either, and we don't need the color differentials, so we need nothing. But if we make the color at the moment is gray, but let's change the color to white. So now it's completely overlapping the one below it. But if we make that chart smaller, we get a little circle, and we can see we got the numbers on the outside, but we might want those numbers to be in the center. Okay, so it's a bit tricky. So we got to sort of make our donut chart label, if you will. We could, if we wanted to, we could just we could plonk the selected metric. So we want to put a number inside there. All right, that's the total, yeah. But we want it to really, what you want to say is up to you, completely up to you. But it's probably better to focus on 1 and say the results for 1. But we need to sort of describe that inside the donut. So I'm just gonna maybe change it back to standard, and we can sort of muck around with sizing it a tiny bit. Okay, make it a bit wider. Yeah, a little bit wider even still. Yep, okay. So we can make a new calculated field, which is going to be donut label. And we might say that's going to be the top 5 categories. And then we need a line break, which is a funny thing to do in Tableau. So you go quotation, enter quotation, plus account 4. So if we put that, for now, let's just go, yeah, we'll leave it like that. So we want donut label, and we can put that into the center as label. Okay. Why has that changed? Yeah, okay. So now we can see the number, but that's not the top 5 categories. That is the whole circle added up. So we need a special metric that's only the top 5, which in this case here is in. We can probably get rid of that second one there. Yep, in and out. Yep, that looks much better. We also, because we duplicated the visualization, our tooltip, we need to reset the tooltip. And we never really care about seeing those in the tooltip either. Yep. And we'll come back to those, fixing the tooltip better, so that we don't have this long explanation for what that number is. But just for now, we want to try and get this 72% inside there. And it's not actually as easy as you would think, because selected, what do we got? Selected metrics. So we need to make a custom calculation. Selected val numbers? No, we need a selected metric. So selected metric, we need to actually duplicate this one here. Duplicate, and let's edit it. We need to go percent from top 5. So in each selection we're making in our parameter, we need to divide the total attributable to the top 5 by the total attributed to everything. So we need something like this. Oh, crap. Oh, let's see. Something like this. Just bear with me. But this is just going to give us 1, yeah? So we need to make this numerator, or is it the numerator. We need to make that filter to only the top 5. So we can do that on a row by row basis. So if top subcategory top 5. Okay, it's Julian here. Just thought I'd make a little addition. I'm actually using the wrong column here. So subcategory top 5 was another calculated field that I made. So it wasn't the in-out set, which is what I wanted. So I muck around for a bit. I'm just going to fast forward this and take you to the point where I realize my mistake. So there's my problem there. I don't know what I had before. Subcategory top 5. So don't tell me that's, bear with me one second. Subcategory top 5. Okay, yeah. So it's the formula I was just using, which is yeah, a bit annoying. Okay. So let's go back. Yeah, you see how the sausage gets made. So I think I even copied that. Did I? Let's paste it. No, I didn't. All right. Well, I'm going to fast forward this so I get done twice as fast. Okay, there we go. We did it. Let's rename it. Top 5 categories percent. Let's just say that. So that metric, if we chuck that in, oops, not to there, into the middle one, we should see the number, and it's matching, which is what we wanted. So we're going to do the same thing as well. We change the default properties, oops, to a percentage, no decimal places, and leave it there. There we go. So we don't need that one there. And then we might also add in the label to the, top 5 account for selected metric label. That's what I want. And I want to put it on, yep, yeah. And so then we can just change the donut label, account for that, and then I want of. Yeah, so of total profit. So does that mean I can just do this? There we go. All right, and we might even, if we wanted to be extra tricky, we could probably drag that into there. This is a real, I'm very cautious of whether that will actually work. Top 5. Oh, let's try this. No, we're trying to be too fancy, but there might be a way to include it into that of statement. Let me think. Yeah, if I drag this in, so we get rid of it, but we make a new calculated field. Like we could in theory put it all into one. So donut label, edit, account for, and then we'd have the number, which is this bit here. Of, and then we want a line break, and then we want the label, the selected metric label. It's not happy with us. Cannot add string to float values. So let's turn it into a string. So we've converted the number to a string, but let's see what it gives us. It's not happy with us. Can't be used. Donut label, let's put it in. Okay, so we're getting something here. So, you know, it's up to you how you want to do it, but we might just have to do this. We might just have to round that number to 2 decimal places times by 100. Make it a string, and then add a percentage symbol after it. I'd be very surprised if this works. Yes, okay, so we can get rid of this top percentage, and we can get rid of this selected metric label, and now it's positioned in the center, and we just need to figure out that last little space. Yeah, so top 5 categories account for 72% of total profit. And it's total sales. So that's funny that it's... I wonder why that is, why it's doing that. Anyway, I won't drag on, but there's a matter of, you know, just... yeah, there might be some little magic that we're missing out on. Round that to 2 times by 100 and convert it to a string. Yeah, more to investigate, but I won't bore you with the process here. But just rest assured that it is possible. And what that means is that we no longer really need the percentages separately. We can have them if we want to, but we might just get rid of them and just show the actual raw numbers. Yeah, that's that. Okie dokie. Hope that was helpful. Okay, so the next topic I wanted to talk about was how you might go incorporating like business area targets into your visualizations. Okay, so let's say, we've got a whole bunch of different categories, and then these are the best categories, or subcategories in this case, but there might be targets that the business departments have for each month or whatever, all right? And so generally those targets can be sort of divided like monthly targets and stuff. Like, for example, maybe they've got to achieve the same as the same month last year, for example, in each of those categories. So what I did is I went into Excel, and this is the underlying data that we're using in Tableau. And we've got a list of unique dates, so all the way from 3rd of January 2017 all the way down to 30th of December 2020, so the future. And then, so I produced this chart here. So for every day between those two dates, and for every subcategory, every unique subcategory, and I'm just including the category here for reference, just in case there was duplicates, I've now produced this chart. And that's pretty much just, it's just the monthly totals of the previous month of those months, modified a bit by some certain percentage, and then just split on a daily basis. And it's important to split it on a daily basis because, if we were only comparing months to months, we put it on a monthly basis, that'd be fine. But we might be comparing like mid-month. So let's say we're in the 15th of December. We might want to compare that to the 15th of December of November, or the 15th of up to the 15th of November for December last year. So it's good to have it on a daily basis, basically. So we get monthly estimates and we break it down by day. And you might also want to factor in that certain days of the week are busier if that applies to your business. But it doesn't matter. What you get is these daily targets. So I just pretty much export that sheet as daily targets and just give it a sec to boot up. So that is the document that we're going to be using in our Tableau. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close down Excel. Don't save it. I'm going to move daily targets CSV to my desktop. Then I'm going to go back to my visualization, and I'm going to use this one here. So I'm going to duplicate the KPIs, and then we're going to bring in the comparative target. All right. Okay. So let's go up to data, new data source, text file, and we go desktop, daily targets. So that has brought in the data set, and now we can see that this is the one we're currently using, but we've also got this data targets data source. So we need to bring in data from there to here. Okay, so how do we do that? And a little hint is these things here, and that sort of controls how we blend the data. This is called data blending. Okay, so I'll just quickly gather my thoughts and then I'll come back to you. Okay, so what do we want to do? So in this context, we want to try and get the month to date target. So what was our target up until this current date? And actually that date is going to be the 30th of December 2020, not the 31st, so not the entire month of December. And same for the yearly date. That's pretty much the entire year except for one day. Okay, so the important thing to remember is that calculated fields do not carry over to new data sources, obviously, but parameters do. So that back here we've got a max date, and that actually determines whereabouts we're up to in where we want to do the analysis from, what data point. Okay, so we actually need to make that into a parameter. So I wonder if it'll let me do this. So when workbook opens, from super sample, give me max date. Yep. You'll call max date parameter. That all looks good. It's a date. So there we are. That's it. So not the change date, not today's date, but the max date. So that when we go back to daily targets, now we've got the max date. So we need to find, for the month of December, as determined by the max date, what is the target, in this case here, for each of these different categories. One point to note as well is that in the data, there is no target for total orders. We've only got targets for quantity, product, profit, and sales, because an order might include multiple categories, multiple subcategories of item, basically. So there's no point having a target for total orders. Okay, so we need to sort of make those metrics, those month-to-date, year-to-date metrics, using the daily targets data set. So let's just make a blank sheet, and let's try and do that. So we can actually transfer it across from here. So let's just start with month-to-date. Let's edit it. So we need is current month. That's what we need, and we need these other. So let's copy it over. Month to date, copy. And then let's plonk it in there, paste. Now we've got a little alarm bell, and why do we have that? We've got it because there is no is current month calculated field. So we need to bring that across as well. Oops. Is current month, copy. Let's go there and paste it in. And that's got a problem. So let's see what the problem is. So we've got no order date, we've got no max date, because order date is replaced by a straight date because it's not relative to an order, and max date is no longer the calculated field, it's the parameter that we're using. So that makes that happy, but month to date still got an issue. So let's see what it is. So it doesn't know what to do here. So first of all, this is not going to apply because there's not going to be any order ID target. So let's get rid of that. In fact, we don't need that if that, so we can just get rid of all of that. The selected val number we don't have, so we need to bring that over as well. Selected val number, where are you? There you are. Copy. Paste. Edit. The quantity column is labeled quant, QNT. There we go. So that's happy case. Yeah, that's what we want. And now month date is happy. So if we bring month to date in, that number is the sum of whatever metric we've selected. Show parameter control. So that's going to modify as we change that. And actually, this parameter is changing multiple, because it's a centralized parameter, it's changing those calculated fields in both sources at the same time. Okay, so that is our month to date. Let's copy over the year to date. Year to date sales, copy, paste, and it's going to have a problem. So let's have a look at what that problem is. We don't need this first bit here. First of all, we don't need to call it sales anymore either. Is current year, so we don't have is current year. Let's go back to here and just fix that from being year to date, because we're no longer just sales. Okay, so we need the year is current year, copy, paste, edit. There's no order date, it just got date. And we're using max date parameter instead of the max date column. That's happy, then makes year to date also happy. So we can add year to date in here as well. Cool, so that's the month to date and the year to date targets for various metrics. But we might want to, let's just change it and just put target on it. Month to date, edit. Okay, So now we need to blend this data, and this is a very simple blend. So we can go here and drag it in, but we've got to drag it in correctly. And at the moment, it's saying, it's sort of trying to give us hints on how to blend the data, but we're not going to use any hints at all because the number that we want to bring in is those precise numbers. We don't need to link it in by any dimensions. Now I'll get to what that's about in the next video, but we can just simply go this, and we can go data, edit blend relationships. We can go custom, and we can just remove everything for now. Oh, okay, so at the moment there's no blend relationships, which is what we want because we're going to bring in month to date target. Don't show that again. And we can also bring in year to date target. And we can probably put them next to each other. Yeah, so 7779614, 77914. So it's brought in the numbers that we need. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so that's a very simple blending using a centralized bunch of parameters. Okay, so that's pretty nifty, and I'll show you how to do the blending relationships in the next video. Okay, so we're gonna try and implement a slightly more complicated blend of the data. All right, so we're gonna go back to the monthly, this one here. Yeah, let's do that one there. So let's duplicate this sheet and bring it all the way to the end. And let's just keep it simple. Let's change it to be discrete. Yep, okay, so there. And we can get rid of that change coloring, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, and we'll also take off the marks just to keep it a tiny bit neater. So we've got all these total quantity, total profit, total sales. And we've got total orders as well, but we don't have an equivalent target for total orders. We've only got the top three. Okay, so how do we go about blending this and bringing in the target for each of these months? Okay, so if we go to daily targets and we bring in a selected value, that's the numeric, yeah, so it's being controlled by that parameter still. So we've got one great big number, and because we've got no relationship between the data sets, it's summing up the total amount of a selected value. So you watch, it'll change. It's just summing up across all different categories, basically. So we need to tell it how we want this relationship to occur. So if we go to data and edit blend relationships, we cleared them all before, but we need to tell it to work on a monthly basis. So we need to add one, and we're going off the order date. We need the month, and from month on the other side, yep. And then we also need the year. So order date, year, date equivalent is year. So we just got the matching, okay? And what this means is that now we've got this connection. And yeah, so that is correct. And if we sort of we need to inspect it. So basically I have given a single monthly average for each month. So that's the target. Okay, let's just even confirm that just by making a new one. So we'll bring in date, month, and then we change it to be month. Yep, and make it discrete. And then we'll bring in a selected value, and then we'll show that parameter. Oops. Metric selection parameter, show parameter, and then make it single. Okay, so we can see how on a monthly basis they are all the same. The only reason why January and December are slightly less is because they didn't include the full, I think we started on the 3rd of January, and we also miss one day in December. So that's why those months are not complete. But yeah, so that's the average, that's the target we've given for total quantity or total profit across each month, basically. So it's the same. So that's why this is matching up. And we can actually duplicate it, dual axis. We can synchronize. And then it might even be better if we shifted this here. It's, yeah, so probably not ideal like that. It's a bit confusing. We could, in fact, change it from being a bar to being a Gantt, and then we got the line of what the target for each of those months actually was. Okay, so that's all very well and good, but let's say we wanted to add another filter, as we probably would, and we just wanted to filter by category. So product, let's add that to the filter and add that to the filter. Let's change it to single value, and let's also change this to single value. And let's put that on top, and let's make this one here only relevant values, all in all. So at the moment, when we do this filter, it's going to filter the actual. So just note that that stays at 6,000. So the target we're bringing in isn't factoring in the specific technology or category that we're using. So we need to add that to our blend if we're going to include a filter like this. So we can go up to daily targets, edit relationship. Oh, sorry. Edit. I did replace data. Edit blend, and we need to add in category, and we also need to add in subcategory. Subcategory. Okay, and that's as specific as our targets go. We don't have targets for specific products, because if we had let's say in this case here, I think we've got 5,000 different products, and the number of days between the start and end date, you know, we've got to multiply 5,000 by that number of days, and very quickly we get over 1 million, and we get to have a very big data set. Okay, so that's just worth knowing. So at the moment, even though we're filtering, this 6,000 hasn't changed, but we added the relationship. So what's going on? We just got to tick these so that it's actually utilizing that relationship. So now we go furniture. We're not at 6,000 anymore. We're going down to 500. So it's only summing up and aggregating according to the specific category and subcategory of data. Cool. And these are flat because we had a single monthly value that we just extended as the target. Okay. Cool. And in theory, we could do daily if we needed as well. Like we could change this from month to day. Note this is still up here, and the reason why it is because we need to add that day as into the connection. So let's add it in. Order date. We need to have, we've got year and month, so we'd need day of the month, which is 8. And then that would allow us to add that in. Add it in. So those are the targets we had for each month. And I think we can swap these around to make sure one is in front of the other. So yeah, that's data blending. Pretty nifty stuff, I reckon. Yeah. I guess one thing I'm wondering is, why is the axes not adapting? Have we fixed the axes at all? That could be a question for another day. Okie dokie, but hopefully that's blending, and that's quite a complicated thing to wrap your head around, and very risky to do because sometimes you can get it wrong. So always just check that the numbers that you're getting over here, like in the actual separate data source, are matching up with the blended numbers you're going to get. Okay, all right, catch you later. Bye.